Hello chess lovers, Student here, and in this video I want to share with you a fantastic game played between Wesley So and Sergey Karjakin at 2019 Riga Grand Prix. This game was played in tiebreak section with a blitz time control because all the previous games ended up in a draw. The time control of this game was 5 minutes plus 3 seconds increment, and Wesley So, who was playing with the white pieces, opened up with English opening c4. Karjakin responded with knight f6, knight c3 e5, knight f3 Nc6. We have the 4 knights variation, g3 bishop b4, bishop g2 black castles kingside, and knight d5. In here the main move is considered to be castling kingside, but in our game Wesley So proceeded with knight d5. He's making the same move which he made in 2010 against Zoltan Almasi. Bishop c5 by Karjakin, and only then white castled kingside, d6, e3, rook e8, and d4. With his last move, white attacked black bishop, and now black has two choices. Can either move back the bishop on b6 or proceed with bishop g4. For example, in 1984, Vasily Smyslov moved back his bishop on b6 against Anthony Miles. This is of course a safe and solid continuation for black, but in our game after d4 we have bishop g4. Black is allowing white to capture on c5, after which is intensifying the pin and now will win back the sacrificed piece. Knight c3, well, h3 leads to a quiet game. If e takes f3, then h takes g4. If f takes g2, then king takes g2, and the players have equal chances. But in our game after e4 we have knight c3. White is inviting black to step into severe complications. Here Karjakin played knight e5, and I have to tell you that e takes f3 won't give black anything. White can easily equalize, while with knight e5 black still is maintaining a slight edge. And it was in here that Wesley So made an interesting decision and captured on e5. A shocking move with which he's going for a queen sacrifice, but let's see. Where is white's compensation? This is move 12 and we have a queen sacrifice. Bishop takes d1. Knight takes f7, an intermediate move with which white knight is munching a pawn. In here Karjakin played queen e7. Well, he could also capture on f7 with the king, but in this case the pawn on d6 steps into a pin. If rook e6, then white can play b3 with bishop a3 ideas, or harass this rook with bishop h3. That's why in our game after knight takes f7 we have queen e7. Black wants to win the knight on f7 with the queen. But here Wesley So kept on making moves with his knight, and this time captured on d6. C takes d6, c takes d6, queen takes d6, rook takes d1, and queen e5. Not the best square for the black queen. Queen b4 looks more active, both attacking this pawn, also keeping an eye on b2 square. But in our game we have queen e5, bishop d2, rook d8, bishop e1. Well, let's take a look. What do we have? So after sacrificing the queen as a compensation against the queen, white got two bishops and two pawns, right? From a human perspective, maybe it's easier to play with the white pieces, especially during a blitz time control. You know, all the time black needs to prove that he has an advantage, and yes, according to engine, black has an extra pawn. But let's take a look what's going to happen next. In here we have b6, b3, rook d3. In here we have the exchange of rooks on d3, rook d1, rook d8. Black has a passed pawn on the third rank, but it's nearly impossible to make use of it. Now by playing bishop f1, white will try to munch it. Queen f5 and knight d5. A beautiful idea by Wesley So, and after knight takes d5 we have rook takes d3, king f8. In some lines it's important to move away the king from this diagonal. C takes d5, but still you can't even capture on d5 with the rook because of this bishop b4 check. Knight knife king g8, then rook takes d5 simply. You can't recapture because of bishop c4, and if king e8, this time e4 can be very unpleasant. If queen takes e4, then rook e3. That's why after c takes d5, Karjakin played a5 to counter-control this b4 square. But in here, Wesley So created another threat. This time rook d4 is on the board with rook f4 idea. Queen b1. Black is both moving away his queen from that dangerous f5 square, and at the same time, by penetrating white's camp, is creating a double threat. Bishop c3, queen takes a2, bishop c4, queen c2, rook f4 check, king e7, bishop takes g7, and a total blunder by Karjakin, rook d6. I have to tell you that already at this point, Karjakin was in a serious time trouble. He had less than 10 seconds on the clock, and all that combined with a difficult position, gave birth to a blunder. Instead, it was better to capture on d5. Now if bishop takes d5, then queen d1 check. And actually after rook takes d5, Black is still maintaining a slight advantage. But in our game, after bishop takes g7, we have rook d6, and after bishop f8, Black's position is lost. Here, Karjakin played king d7, but after bishop b5 check, king c7, rook c4 check, he resigned. Yes, Black is suffering heavy losses. Now if queen takes c4, then White can first capture on d6 with a check, and only then on c4, and Black's position is totally lost. That's why after queen takes c4, Karjakin resigned. An interesting and very bold queen sacrifice by Wesley So, which gave birth to severe complications where, in a time trouble, Sergey Karjakin, who though had a slight edge, failed to create an adequate counterplay and lost the game. Another brilliant example, right, where two minor pieces prevailed over the queen. In the end, let's also solve a chess puzzle. It's white to move and win the game. I will wait for your answer in the comment section, and by the way, I have to tell you that this position is also taken from Wesley So's game. Thanks for watching. In the end, also feel free to check out the suggestions. I will see you in my next video. Take care.